Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the month of March 2023 and the life path forecast for the month ahead. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss when I post. And of course, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Personal month forecasts, which will include, of course, the moon forecasts, those will be coming sometime next week, I anticipate, so keep your eye out for those. And of course, they are different from the life path forecasts, and they do have different calculations. So be aware of that, and definitely check yours out once they land. Like I said, I expect that to be sometime next week. This, of course, is a general reading. For a personal reading or a coaching with numerology session with me, you can book some time with me. Of course, my information is in the description box below to do that. Okay, so March 2023 is 10-1 energy. So you may have seen some things close out in the month of February. Some things coming to fruition, completion, things falling away, creating a clean slate, right? So March, we have this beautiful clean slate to create whatever it is that we wish to create, to take some big risks, to take some some initiations, to initiate some new things, right? To be somewhat aggressive in that approach and to go after what it is that our hearts desire. This, of course, is going towards those sort of individual goals, those big new starts when it comes to self. The one energy is very much focused on self and identity and going after, again, what it is that we feel called to go after at this moment, and what it is that we feel called to create or initiate, and to do that in a way that, again, we're taking the initiative to do that. One energy forces us to take the initiative to get started on something. And it may look different than what we had anticipated it would look like. And a lot of times with one energy, that's very normal. It can be so outside the box that a lot of people don't understand it, and that's okay. Follow your instincts, follow your intuition, follow your heart at this time, and really take those big risks on the things that really speak to you the most. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the individual life path forecast, taking all this into consideration. Beautiful life path number 9s. Okay, so your animal wisdom for the month of March comes from the blue-footed booby. It is this beautiful bird with these big blue feet. And so the energy that's sort of coming through here is this energy of like indecision and like almost like information overload, almost like it's sort of similar to like Two of Swords energy. So it's kind of like you're in an impasse with something in your life. You've come to a crossroads and now you need to make a decision. And that decision, of course, is creating some kind of anxiety because you have choices. And anytime the human is presented with choices, anxiety is usually present because we always go straight to, what if I make the wrong decision? Or I don't know how this is going to turn out. And let me weigh the options and what are the pros and cons? And let me make what I think is going to be the best decision. And then, of course, if we make a decision and it turns out differently, then we beat ourselves up about it, right? So it's like this endless cycle. And so hopefully eventually we break that cycle and we just learn that when we make a decision in the moment, right? Like we feel good about it. We have to trust that that is the right decision for us because it was the right decision for us in that moment. That doesn't mean things aren't going to change. Of course they're going to change. And it may not be the right moment or the right thing for us later, but at that time we can make a new decision and we can go down a different path if we choose to, right? So everything is transient. Like everything is temporary. Every choice we can make new choices in the next moment or tomorrow. There may be consequences from those choices, but we can deal with it. We can work through it. We can figure it out. And so really it's like this energy of the blue-footed booby coming through is really saying any decision that you make is the right decision for you in this moment. Trust that. Put your heart into it and go for it and see where it leads you. If you don't like where it leads you, then make a new decision. when you get there, right? Make a change when you get there. That's part of the journey. That's the road, right? And you have the power to do that, to change direction whenever you choose to. It might not be easy, right? It might be complicated, but you have the power to make those changes. And so again, this month could bring about some major decisions. And through those major decisions, you could sort of overwhelm yourself with the research and trying to figure it out and the pros and the cons and getting advice and the convolutedness of it all, right? And so really, I think with this energy coming through is just saying, just really don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, right? It may be complicated by itself, but don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Trust yourself. Trust that whatever decision that you make in this moment is the decision that is right for you in this moment. That doesn't mean it won't change. Doesn't mean you can't change directions down the road. You absolutely can. So take that pressure off. Now, for the month of March, you all are working with 19-1 energy. This is actually really incredibly beautiful energy. It does, however, bring with it big new beginnings, big new starts, big changes. And with those big new starts, those big changes can bring choices or decisions to be made, right? Like some kind of crossroads. Like maybe you get the job offer of your life and you're super excited about it, but it's in a different country or a different state, or you have to move or something like that, or you have to, you have your kids in school, so you have to move and your partner stays in the old location and then you only see each other on the weekends or something, right? Like sometimes life presents us with these huge opportunities that are very much aligned with the direction that we want to move in, and we can make it work to satisfy that sort of soul calling, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? There are definitely decisions that have to be made, and then we have to move through the consequences, good or bad, or comfortable or uncomfortable from those decisions. And so, we just have to decide what works for us in that moment, because if we say no to it, it'll present itself. If it's meant for us, it'll present itself again, maybe in a different way, and we can take a look at it then. But there is the potential under this energy for big new beginnings. Now, remember, the energy can be present, but it's what we do with it that makes the difference. So a new opportunity can present itself, but if you're not willing to go outside your comfort zone or enough to where you can make these changes or say yes to these opportunities, then really nothing's going to happen to it, right? Sometimes there's a divine intervention, right? That's a different story. But in these situations, it's kind of like when these big opportunities or new beginnings present themselves to us, we find ourselves sometimes at a crossroads where we have to make that final decision. And it's our decision at the end of the day that determines the experience. So that can be a lot of pressure, right? And so again, it just comes back to, yes, this is beautiful energy. This 19-1 energy is beautiful for new beginnings and big new starts and potential for success and like all these things. But with that comes, it's like a double-edged sword, because with that comes that crossroads energy, right? Where we have to make some kind of a decision, and we will not always have all of the information. There are no guarantees, right? Like there are no guarantees. And so it just keeps it interesting, right? But this is also a month where you could potentially see a tremendous amount of like recognition and rewards and victory and goals achieved. Just really beautiful, supportive energy, where it's kind of like you've put in the work and now it's like, oh, these things are like coming to the table and finally you're being recognized for the contribution, right? Or whatnot, or whether it's just you recognizing your own worth, right? Like that is an achievement within itself. And we can recognize like how much value we bring to the table and how needed we are and all those things, right? We don't need someone else to tell us that. But when we can recognize it, that is an achievement, right? So it could be something like that as well that comes through. And it may be through that awareness and that recognition that the new opportunities present themselves. And then we find ourselves at that crossroad. So again, it just comes to trusting yourself when making these decisions and really following, what inspires you and what speaks to your heart and what makes the most sense for you in this moment. And then trust it. There's also this energy of keeping your wits about you, like keeping a good sense of humor, right? Like being able to laugh at yourself, being able to laugh at the situation, whatever it may be, finding humor in the situation, finding the levity, right? Or bringing the levity, whatever you need to do. But it's like, it's kind of like the humor or laughter, right? It just changes the energy. And so it makes things so much easier to move through. It's not, avoidance. It's not suppression. It is, lifting the vibration. Joy is one of the highest vibrations. And so it's right up there with love. And so anytime we can shift the energy into that vibration, doesn't mean we don't move through the gunk, but at least we can do it with a smile on our face. At least we can do it with some levity, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's actually like true mastership, right? Being able to like find the levity within a situation or bring it, right? And laugh through the trials and the tribulations because they're not going anywhere, right? And so when we can change our mindset and we can just change the energy, then we can get through it at least while we're having a good time or at least, with a few laughs. So, but overall, nines, beautiful, beautiful energy this month. Absolutely beautiful. The only kind of, like I said, double-edged sword is I do think is going to bring up some like crossroad moments where there needs to be some big decisions. And it can bring up some anxiety, right, around making those decisions. And you could feel a little bit of like overwhelm. So just move through that the best of your ability, which you are very capable of. And I think the outcome you'll be very happy with. So I hope it's a beautiful month for you all. Take care, nines. Bye for now.